So this is.
Good evening. This evening is our monthly meeting of the Board of Adjustment. We are committed to a transparent process and encouragement of public comment during our meetings. We will be accepting testimony from all parties. If you wish to testify on any particular petition before us this evening using the Zoom platform, please use the raise hand feature. You can raise your hand at any time and we will recognize you at the appropriate time for the presentation of evidence for each case. If in person, please hand staff your speaker's card. Planner Robin Keefe will be moderating the hybrid meeting and will be asked to provide names of those individuals that wish to speak. I would like to call the meeting of the City of Wildwood's Board of Adjustment to order. The board members present today are Bob Morris, board member, Kevin Lux, board member, Arnie Sprunger, board member, Dave Bertolino, alternate member, and myself, Jared Frank, chair. The Department of Planning staff present are Joe Vunich, director of planning, and Robin Keefe, planner. City Attorney John Young and court reporter Courtney Tallman are also present via Zoom. First, I offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to today's meeting, October 19th, 2023, and take official notice of the zoning ordinance of City of Wildwood, including Chapter 400, Article 2, authorizing and establishing the Board of Adjustment's powers and duties. Now let me explain the hearing procedure. Please be aware the information I'm about to describe is also provided on the Board of Adjustment public hearing procedure handout, which was available online prior and up to tonight's meeting. This hearing is informal in its nature. However, the meeting's proceedings will be recorded by a reporter for future transcription if needed. The petitions are called in the order listed on the agenda. As the petition is called, I will ask a Department of Planning staff member to read each request into the record. Thereafter, the Department of Planning will have opening remarks and a brief slide presentation. Then the petitioner or his or her representative will be asked to state their name and address, be sworn in by the court reporter, make a brief presentation to the board explaining the nature of the requested variance, and present such evidence and witness testimony that may evidence the practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship that warrant the variance. The board will only consider the unique character of the property to determine whether they warrant the granting of a variance. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts of the petitioner's presentation. When the board is satisfied with the material presented by the petitioner, the chair will then ask if there is anyone present or online who would like to speak in favor or opposition to the requested variance. Each speaker will be asked to provide their name and address, be sworn in, and then provide their evidence and oral testimony. Procedurally, the petitioner may request a continuance at any time during the hearing prior to a call for the vote in order to bring in additional evidence or testimony. The board may also continue the proceedings. After the submission of testimony and evidence from all interested parties, the board will ask a staff person to provide the Department of Planning's report on this matter if requested by any member of the board, the petitioner, or any individual that is participating in person or online. Once all witnesses have been heard, the chair will call for a motion to grant or deny with or without conditions, then the board will vote. At that time, the presentation of evidence relating to the petition is concluded and no further evidence will be permitted. The board may make a decision today. 4 members of the board must vote in favor of the variance for it to be approved. If a variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use, or it will expire. If the board's decision is unfavorable, the petitioner has the right to appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. This appeal must be done within 30 days of the decision. Ms. Keefe, are there any questions at this time?
For those who are online, if you have any questions, please raise your hand.
Hearing no questions at this time, the meeting will proceed. The department, please read the request into the first request into the record, which will be followed by a brief slide presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the board, the first item and only item tonight is BA 25-23 Glenn Scott 16245 Windcrest Ridge Court, Wildwood, Missouri 63005. Requests an exception to the natural resource protection requirements for the purpose of constructing a new fence having a maximum height of 4 feet 6 inches upon the property located at 16245 Windcrest Ridge Court. Locator number 21U 240557, Windcrest Subdivision, Plat 3, Lot 37. which would authorize its construction within the natural resource protection area. The overall length of fencing planned is 208 linear feet and generally to be placed in the front and side yard areas of the lot. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 420.200 Natural Resource Protection Standards and Procedures of the Subdivision and Development Regulations of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code as applied to properties located in the R1 22,000 square foot resident district, Chapter 415.120 R1A 22,000 square foot resident district regulations of the City of Wildwood zoning ordinance, and Planned Residential Development Overlay, PRD ordinance number 630, which was approved by the Wildwood City Council on July 24th, 2000. This particular property is located in Ward 2. And Mr. Chair, before Ms. Keefe begins the slide presentation, the department would like to enter into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2, the Board of Adjustment of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance, the file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this particular request, and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any testimony, evidence, or other items that are offered as part of tonight's hearing. Thank you.
This time, the department make any initial comments pertaining to the petition and be followed by a brief slide presentation.
I have no initial comments. Mr. Chair, members of the board, the subject of our case this evening is located in the Windcrest subdivision, which is in northeastern Wildwood, just north of Clayton Road. It consists of 5 plats with a total of 155 lots of varying size. This particular lot was where the original dwelling was located on the approximately 60-acre parcel of ground that was then subdivided into the first 3 plats of this project. It is the largest in overall size at 1.83 acres. The dwelling was built in 1984. This property is zoned R1A 22,000 square feet residence district, and it is located within a planned residential development overlay district, which consists of smaller lots clustered together around large common areas. This particular lot consists primarily of grassy turf area, though the borders of it do have some nice wooded trees, and it is relatively flat. The petitioner this evening is requesting to install a new fence in association with other improvements upon the property, which I'll discuss in a second, but this is the new fence being proposed. Now, a unique feature of this lot is that it is 100% protected by Natural Resource Protection Area. This was a decision of the developer when this subdivision was first platted, and the idea was to allow for additional areas of disturbance for the other, I think 70 lots of the first 3 plats. So this was in the works a long time ago, and that prevents the petitioner from doing things like installing fences on the lot without coming before you. There is 208 linear feet of this fence. This is the design of the fence that the petitioner is requesting. It is designed to fit aesthetically with his eastern neighbor's fence, which is of the same type and style. It is to be no more than 4.5 feet in height at any given section of it. Here we're looking at the rear of the residence. However, it is the facade facing the access street, which is Windcrest Ridge Court. And we'll discuss a little bit that access a little later on, but we're looking slightly northeast. Here we're looking at Windcrest Ridge Court, looking southwest. And this is in the other direction of also Windcrest Ridge Court. This is across the street from the petitioner's residence. And this is looking northeast, and we're starting to head towards the area, the grassy turf area where the fence will be located. That's looking in the other direction. So this would be the western neighbor, I believe. This is southeast. This is Windcrest Ridge Court. However, we're a little further into the property. And here is the area where the fence is to be located. This is the eastern neighbor. This is Windcrest Ridge Court. That is that tree buffer there. You can somewhat see this fence in the background. I'm about to zoom in on it, but again, this fence is basically going to be in this grassy area here. And then this is the neighbor's fence. This is just intended to show you a couple of plantings that are along that eastern property line. This is the rear of the property. Pepper Mill Ridge Court is in the background here. And here we're starting to go west. This is looking west at the turnaround of the drive. And this is, I'm sorry, northwest. This is the western view of the house. And this is the front of the house looking southwest. This is looking south on the other side of the house towards Windcrest Ridge Court. And then this is the rear of the residence, and we're looking east. This lot has been the subject of previous variance requests, as noted in your report. These requests were made in 2011, the largest of which was to relocate the existing drive, which you can see here in the darker yellow here, from where it was previously, which is this lighter yellow. It used to, access used to be from Pepper Mill Ridge Court, and now it is from Windcrest Ridge Court. Additionally, an upper deck area was added onto the house along with a lower patio area, and that was to improve ingress and egress from the residents. I should say one component of the driveway relocation was restoration of those areas, and I think that involved some extensive landscaping, which you can see featured in the pictures. The public comment the department has received for the request has mostly been positive. As you can see here, 4 affected neighbors are all in support of the request. We do have a resident that was located within that notification area that was in opposition. And generally throughout the subdivision, there are other examples of approved variances for fences and natural resource protection areas. And with that, I bring my presentation to a close. The department is available for questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Key.
Just a couple real quick ones. Is this the only property that has 100% natural resource protection?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, so the neighboring properties aren't subject to that same restriction of the natural resource protection.
That's right. When the overall plat was developed, there was a certain percentage of natural resource protection area that needed to be addressed as part of that process. And in order to disturb more area for the other lots, this lot was chosen to be 100% protected.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
there was also a second reason why the city allowed Levinson Building and Realty Corp. to designate this entirety of the property resource protected, and that was to preserve the home. The home was kind of unique to this area, and we thought it might be a nice addition. And so by protecting it with the resource protection procedures and standards, we were able to do a little bit of what I would consider preservation of maybe a mid-century modern type.
Thank you, Director Munoz. Any other questions for the department before the petitioner comes forward? All right. Thank you, Ms. Keefe.
All right, thank you.
At this time, will the petitioner please come forward, state his or her name, address, relation to the property, and then be sworn in by the court reporter.
Hello, my name is Glenn Scott. I live at 16245 Windcrest Ridge Court in Wildwood, Missouri. I own the property along with my wife, Margaret.
We'll get you sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Scott.
First, I wanted to point out a couple of corrections, and I'm sorry, I don't know how these happened. If I was the source of the error, I apologize. From the variance in 2011, I originally requested a deck. I did not build the deck, so there's still no deck there. And then on the length of the fence, it's more like 408 feet than 208. So again, if I gave bad information, I apologize. I did want to address something to Mr. Vunic's point. I feel like I'm a steward of this house more so than an owner. At some day it's going to be passed along to somebody else that I think will be very happy with it. It is way overbuilt in a very nice way. I have a background in building science, and so I appreciate this, and I want to really my wife will tell you that I'm constantly talking about the next owners. So for this project, I have a 1.8 acre lot. It's big enough. I don't need to go right up to the fence. I don't need, or up to the street. I don't need to go right up to my neighbors. So I purposely tried to stay inside the building setback lines so as to not be intrusive to my neighbors. My neighbors are, to my knowledge, all in favor of this request. The driver of this request is my wife and I recently retired, and we got a rescue puppy, and we were looking for a 45-pound adult dog, and we got she's probably 92 pounds as of a couple weeks ago. So she's bigger than we were thinking of. So we like the idea of being able to have a fence for her, both to keep her in and to keep other dogs out. We feel like we're pretty good at training our dogs, but still, I just want to be really safe and not have any issues with other dogs coming into our yard or deer or whatever. So that is really the driver of the request for us. I have planted a lot of trees. I plant probably 10 trees or bushes at least every single year for the 15 years that I've lived there. I will continue to do so. I'm getting around now. I'm better at it. When I first moved in, I'd plant them and the deer would knock down 75% of what I planted. That was very expensive, time-consuming lessons, but I'm getting smarter as I get older. So what I plant now generally lives to be big enough to survive on its own. So I have planted a couple of trees already on the eastern side to kind of give my neighbors some screening. They don't want to totally block it. Their house is like 5 foot off my property line. And so to get to their backyard, they pretty regularly walk through my property. which is fine. And so they don't want me to fill it all up full of trees where they can't access their backyard. So I'm planned on planting some trees on that eastern side, but not so much that it's all the way up to their house. So if there's any questions that I can answer for you guys, I do want to also say I appreciate everybody coming out for just our quest tonight.
Mr. Scott, before we start with the questions, so the linear feet the number was incorrect. Was the overall outline
Yeah, I'm sorry.
pretty much
Yes.
the same?
Yeah,
Okay.
the
So,
outline and the picture looks accurate.
okay, perfect. So, any other questions for Mr. Scott from the board?
Maybe just one real quick one, just to kind of cover this. I know you want to provide a fence for is that a dog or a pony? I'm not sure. 92 pounds. It's a deer. Okay.
She looks just like a deer.
Doesn't
She's not going out in hunting season, that's for sure.
Probably a good idea. So, and I know some people are fans of these things and some people really don't like them, but did you look at alternatives to a physical fence, like, the in-ground fence, or there's even GPS fencing technologies available today? Did you think of those things at all as you're trying to decide what you want to do to keep
I
dogs?
did.
Yeah.
When we first moved in, we had an 85-pound German Shepherd. We were younger then and we could handle an 85-pound German Shepherd. And we had an invisible fence then. Our Shepherd was very, very well trained. And even so, there was an instant when there was two middle school 70-pound girls walking three 85-pound dogs, and they didn't control the dogs, and the 85-pound dogs, the three of the dogs came in and went after my German Shepherd. So that is really my concern more so. Like I said, we've always had dogs. Our dogs have always been pretty well trained. She's a puppy right now. She's still learning her manners, but I'm sure she will be pretty well trained by the time, in the next year or so. She'll be even better than she is now. But other people's dogs coming into our yard, we can't control. And so that's really our main concern.
Thank you.
Any other?
Yeah, well, building on that, I think I saw somewhere in the packet that kids run the connection from one street to another to get to a bus or something like that.
All
So
of
the
it.
fence would also be a safety feature
For them,
where an invisible fence probably would not protect
right?
whoever's walking through.
Yeah, kids do go through our yard all the time. We ask that they at least walk their bikes. Their bikes sink. We have really good soil, so their bikes sink into the ground when they get right across if it's been raining. But they do cut between the two. And so I talked to my neighbors about that, do we want to try and reduce that more? And they're like, it's much less than when we first moved in, and there was no tree buffer there whatsoever. So it's only a handful of kids, and they're generally pretty respectful and ask us and ask the neighbors, it's not just us. They ask the neighbors also if they can go through.
Any other questions for Mr. Scott? I have one last one. In the department's report, they had recommended the condition of a green screen in conjunction with the fence. How do you feel about that? Was that part of the discussion, or?
As long as it's not too extensive, I will eventually put trees there, whether I'm required to or not.
Yeah, sounds like that.
Like I said, my neighbors don't want too many trees there because it would impact their access to their property.
Sounds like you're sensitive to that, though. So you right for both parties. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Any other questions from the board? All right. Any speakers in the audience speak in favor or opposition to this request?
There is a speaker online that would like to speak at this time. Please use the raise hand feature. Mr. Chair, I do not see a raised hand.
Would anyone like the opportunity to hear the oral presentation of the department's report? Seeing none. Any final comments by the Department of Planning?
Mr. Chair, before Ms. Keefe gives the department's recommendation in summary, Mr. Scott's taking blame for something I did. I'm the one that measured the fence. I thought I caught the scale correctly based upon the reduction in the plan sheet. Obviously, I missed it by half. So thanks for the correction. And when if you do make a motion in favor, would you identify it as 408 feet? Thank you.
Even Director Vunich is allowed a mistake every now and then.
It's his birthday, so he definitely is.
Oh.
The-
Any other final comments?
Yes, the department is recommending approval of this fence tonight. Typically, we view fences in the natural resource protection area a little more leniently than other structures, given their non-permanent nature. This one is going to blend in with the surrounding area. It's going to add to the safety. And there's a pretty substantial tree buffer around that property already, as you may have seen from those pictures. So really, we're just recommending tonight that the department approve a landscape plan in association with the fence. And we'll be taking into consideration some of what we've heard this evening. Thank you.
Given that, any final comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll close this proceeding for a vote. May I have a vote, a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve approximately 400 foot of fencing conditioned on the approval of a landscaping plan by the Department of Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Lux. Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Mr. Morris, how do you vote? Approve. Mr. Lux, how do you vote?
Approve.
Mr. Sprunger,
Approve.
Mr. Bertolino? Approve. And I as well approve with the stated conditions. Congratulations, your variance is approved. And seeing that was the one and only tonight, any other business before we adjourn and wish you happy birthday?
Do we need a motion for that?
It's
The Department of Planning would just note that we do have 4 cases on the agenda for next month, so please plan to be here.
that being said, consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all. And thanks to Courtney and John.
Thank you.